No. It's I call it the Epstein Hoax. It takes a lot of time and effort. Instead of talking about the great achievements we've had.
Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show, everybody. Keaton, Weiss, and Russell Dobular here from Due Dissidence, filling in for Jimmy while he is on the road. Let's check in with friend of the show, Donald J. Trump. So this was a long time ago already. This was yesterday, July 15th. Ken Klippenstein tweets, President Trump just called the Jeffrey Epstein case pretty boring stuff. Pretty boring stuff. This was as of yesterday. A trip down memory lane 24 hours ago.
And why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring. And I don't understand why it keeps going, but
it's boring. Boring. The Epstein case. Boring, he says. Wow.
My friend Howard here, he lived right next door to Epstein. You could ask him.
That's
He
right.
didn't see anything untoward going on there.
Very boring guy. He said he was a very boring guy. You know, he always took his garbage out on time. Always put his cans back. Behind the gate there. He was a real square. He was a real square. That's what I've heard.
I always say my friend Howard Lutnick must be blessed by the God of the Jews because he stayed home on 9/11.
That's right. That's right. Yes, that's right. So Nick Sorter tweets out today. This was today. So this is when it got even worse. Okay, this is beyond boring. Just in, President Trump responds to Epstein situation again. That's right. Again, they're wasting their time with a guy who died 3 or 4 years ago. These are stupid people, he says. A Democrat hoax. Wow.
Mr. President, I know you want to move past all this intrigue over the Epstein files, but I do want to ask you to clarify something you said this morning. You said this was all a hoax. Has your Attorney General told you this was a hoax? What evidence have you seen of that? No, it's not the Attorney General. No, I know it's a hoax. It's started by Democrats. It's been run by the Democrats for 4 years. You had Christopher Wray and these characters and Comey before him. And it's a bad group. It started, actually, look at the Steele dossier that turned out to be a total hoax. The 51 agents, the so-called intelligence agents, it was a hoax.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that's real now. I'm starting to think Russiagate was real, actually.
Yeah. He's actually making a good case for the Steele dossier.
Exactly, yeah. We're going to have to get Mate back in here to answer some questions, find out what the hell's going on. Sounds like this was all real to me. That's the conclusion I'm starting to draw.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net, and so they try and do the Democrats' work. The Democrats are good for nothing other than these hoaxes. They're bad for policy. They're bad for picking candidates that can get elected. Like in New York, we have a communist running. He may get elected too, actually, but he'll destroy the city. No. It's I call it the Epstein Hoax. It takes a lot of time and effort. Instead of talking about the great achievements we've had, a great gentleman yesterday, as you know, went on CNBC and he made the statement that Trump may go down as the greatest president of all in the United States. And instead of talking about the things we've achieved, we've had tremendous achievement. They're wasting their time with a guy who obviously had some very serious problems, who died 3-4 years ago. I'd rather talk about the success we have with the economy, the best we've ever had, and all of the things we've done, including the Middle East. I mean, you see it. Instead, they want to talk about the Epstein hoax. And the sad part is it's people that are really doing the Democrats' work. They're stupid people. Yeah, go ahead.
Wow. You know, he really wants this to go away. He didn't obviously like getting that question. That wasn't the last question that he got. But, you know, for a guy who really wants this to go away, he doesn't act like it. Because the reason he got such a question is because he fired off this banger this morning. Andrew, could you take the logo out of the upper right for a minute just so I could read that? Thank you. The radical left Democrats have hit pay dirt again. Just like with the fake and fully discredited Steele dossier, the lying 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, which the Dems swore had come from Russia. No, it came from Hunter Biden's bathroom. And even the Russia scam itself, a totally fake and made-up story used in order to hide crooked Hillary Clinton's big loss in the 2016 presidential election. These scams and hoaxes are all the Democrats are good at. It's all they have. They are no good at governing, no good at policy, and no good at picking winning candidates. Also, unlike Republicans, they stick together like glue. It's so long. And does he have like an autistic chat GPT write these for him? Is this like some kind of defective AI? Where this
is really MAGA on the mount. This is really a prolonged sermon of all the core tenets of the faith.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. Just listing it all off. All right, that was half of it. Their new scam is what we will forever call the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. And my past supporters, past in big capital letters, have bought into this quote-unquote bullshit hook, line, and sinker. They haven't learned their lesson and probably never will, even after being conned by the lunatic left for 8 long years. I have had more success in 6 months than perhaps any president in our country's history, and all these people want to talk about with strong prodding by the fake news and the success-starved Dems is the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. Let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success because I don't want their support anymore. That's right, I don't want their support anymore. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. Wow.
Screw you guys. I'm going home.
Yeah. Now, look, I mean, I got to say, okay, if you are Donald Trump and you want people to stop talking about this, right? Let me just put myself in Donald Trump's head for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say for whatever reason, right? You really want people to stop talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
Surely you have to understand that people are not just going to stop talking about this entirely overnight. In other words, no matter what, it's never going to be the situation that you put your head on the pillow one night, you wake up the next morning as if it was all a terrible dream and nobody's talking about Epstein at all. No, the way this is going to fade out of public consciousness, if it will, which I don't think it will, but if it will, it's going to be a gradual thing.
Right.
In the months after 9/11, everybody was talking about 9/11 and they started talking about it less and less and less. And then it kind of, just became this sort of fact of life that everybody was aware of, but nobody really talked about. It wasn't front of mind forever and ever and ever. That's the way this is going to happen. It's not going to happen all at once where everybody shuts up. And I guarantee you it will never happen ever, ever, ever at this rate, because every time you fire off a tweet like that, it's going to provoke much more speculation. Was there a 1,200% increase in Trump Epstein Google searches since this whole thing happened? And that's actually surprisingly low, to be honest. Of course, that is every time you do that, you make it impossible for people to stop talking about. So it's completely childish. It really is. He's like a man-child. Like, you have to understand, the best this can go for you at this point is for you to shut up about it, hope that your paid influencers can distract people with the torture of immigrants in alligator jails, and ride it out. But that's never going to happen if you don't shut up about it. It's never going to happen. And when somebody asks you about it, you say, refer to my previous Truth Social posts about that. I'm done talking about that. Otherwise, people are never going to move on. Never. At this rate, it'll never happen.
All right. I think you got to be fair. Like, whenever I see these people like Michael Jackson, I can't litigate them morally, because how can you even imagine what it is to have some deranged father beat the living shit out of you until you become a pop star? Like, who knows what that does to you mentally? Here you got a guy who's so fundamentally sick that he was running around for years making sexual cracks about his daughter in interviews. And he was able to get together a following of people who thought he was the moral choice. So you got to kind of understand how that would warp your understanding of reality. Here's a guy making cracks about his daughter's chest about how he'd
Yeah.
be dating her, right? And he's able to cast Biden as the pervert, right?
Right.
He's able to cast Bill Clinton as the pervert. Even he never made cracks about Chelsea's cans. This guy
Not my
did this in interviews. And you get people to believe that you're the not rich pervert. You're the not perverted rich guy. The guy
Right.
who makes these cracks about his daughter. So you can understand why he thinks it would be this easy to just recast the whole issue, because he's used to everyone who follows him giving him a pass on the obvious. He's used to just being able to say, I talked kind of like about being attracted to my daughter, but, the perverts are the other guys.
Right.
Yeah, the other guys are perverts. Yeah, the perverts, WEF, WTF, eat bugs, own nothing, blah, 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 blah. So he thinks he can just do this. And it's very revealing that he keeps doing this Time Life Greatest Hits album.
Oh, yeah.
The twist. He thinks so little with some justification given that history. He thinks so little of the people that support him that he believes that he can just do a Pavlov thing on them.
Oh, yeah.
And just say Hillary, say laptop, say Russia, 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 and they'll just fall in line. But it's not going to work, because in the end, yes, as much as they turned a blind eye to those things, this Epstein mythos is core to the belief system. It would be as if he turned around and said Hillary Clinton is actually MAGA.
Right. Exactly.
Like,
right.
you just can't get them to go with that. It's too central to the whole
this
belief
is a
system
pillar of
that
the
he's
movement.
laying
Yes.
out in these screeds.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. So Keith Edwards says, here we have some MAGA influencers holding up binders of a Democratic hoax provided by the Trump administration. Yeah, exactly. There's a big hoax. Then what was that about? That was a hoax, but it was a hoax of a different kind. That wasn't a Democrat hoax. That was a Pam Bondi hoax. Adam says, breaking, Trump calls the Epstein scandal bullshit and a hoax and said he no longer wants the support of weaklings who care about it. You are a weakling if you care about the 1,000+ children assaulted, we'll say, by elite pedos. He's ended MAGA. You can't move past this. I agree with that. I agree with that. So he was asked about that dig that, he got in against his supporters. Obviously took a swipe against his base in that screed that we just read and that Adam just highlighted. So here is Nick Sorter tweeting out this piece of video. This is brief, but he's asked to clarify, given an off-ramp, hey, do you want to take back that thing you said about these people who have supported you for 10 years, many of whom have gone to prison for you over January 6th? Anything? Let's see.
Mentioned past supporters when you were talking about the Epstein issue. Does that mean that you're effectively disowning any supporters who are now
I
calling...
lost a lot of faith in certain people, I lost, because they got duped by the Democrats. The Democrats are good for nothing. They've done a terrible job. They almost destroyed our country.
Wow. Talk about self-destructive, man. Holy shit. Richard Moreland says, don't know why he's doubling down on this. Sure, Epstein is dead, but the other people involved might still be hurting people. Yeah, you think? Jeff Mole, absolutely terrible response. And optics. Hexbird says, definitely disappointed with how this has been handled. He's supposed to be the disruptor, not pissing into the wind and saying it's raining. Yeah, not working. The libs are pouncing on this. The Lincoln Project here. We've entered the it's all a hoax phase of the Trump meltdown. The walls are closing in, and he knows it. Jessica Tarloff, she's the Democrat contributor to the Fox News 5 show. I'm excited about the MAGA infighting regarding Jeffrey Epstein. Why? Because for some, this is finally a bridge too far. Trump is now being exposed as just another swamp creature. When you're right, you're right. 5 times August. These guys are not libs as a band. Pay attention to which influencer accounts embrace the new Epstein hoax narrative. Will tell you all you need to know. Yes, very perceptive there from 5 times August. So here's one of these very people here. Brendan Dilley says, let's break down the Epstein hoax. Step one.
What the hell is that?
I have
Brendan
no idea.
Dilley?
Malcolm found him. Looks good.
Is that a pick me? It's a
Yeah,
pick me.
A pick me, yeah. A pick me influencer. Let's break down the Epstein hoax. Step one, take a legitimate criminal, exaggerate the influence of this criminal to almost boogeyman status for years. 2, trusted Trump admins promise to get to the bottom of this greatly exaggerated issue. 3, Trump officials get into position of power and thoroughly investigate remaining documents. 4, Trump FBI realize that the reporting has been massively overblown and the conspiracy is much smaller and more specific than even they thought. 5, try and tell people the facts which no longer support a theory they adopted as a reality over many years. 6, anti-MAGA weaponized this cognitive dissonance against Trump to fracture his base. Well, guilty as charged on my part. You got me on that one. Step 7, Trump goes hard and tells people it's bullshit. Believe me or not, I'm focused on MAGA and you can keep getting played by the Epstein hoax. Step 8, I won't say that. I want to keep Jimmy monetized while he's gone. He's got to pay us here, so we won't say that word. Who built an entire brand and identity around a believed reality, can't let go of it because then they would have to question everything else they've adopted as a permanent truth. Step 9, Trump doesn't need your vote, is building a broader coalition for the midterms. Oh yeah, broad coalition for the midterms. You know what the approval rating is for his handling of this? 3%. 3% of people think this was handled well. Yeah, really broadening the base out while cleaning up the election fraud. So he's done hand-holding, once again, regards in his base and tells them to fuck off. Step 10, Trump is proven right yet again, and influencers never recover. So this works on some people. You know, America there says, I've been waiting for your take on this, and it makes so much sense. This whole thing was getting weird, and President Trump knew it too and said enough is enough. I trust him. Good for you, America. So Chris Brunate says, this dude has dozens of tweets from 2022 to 2025 begging for Jeffrey Epstein and all the pedos to be exposed. Now he says it's a hoax, and you're an idiot if you fell for it. I've never had less respect for MAGA influencers. So he brings the receipts here. We won't read all of these, but here is just February 26th of 2025. The Epstein files is the ultimate Trump card. The ultimate Trump card. February 27th, I absolutely love that President Trump gave phase 1 of the Epstein files, which was largely redacted, pre-published bullshit to social media folks. And again, on February 27th, I have zero issue with the select social media folks having a unique once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to receive the Epstein files phase 1. He has creepy-ass vibes. Got to laugh if he's on the Epstein list. Max Blumenthal points out what Russell pointed out earlier in the segment. Standing beside Trump is Howard Lutnick, Jeffrey Epstein's longtime neighbor who bought his townhome from a trust controlled by Epstein and Les Wexner. Brilliant optics. Yeah, this is all playing very well. Glenn Greenwald said the audacity of how Trump is heaping scorn on his own supporters over Epstein, the complete fabrications he's inventing to do so, and the pretense that all along this was just a hoax created by the far left is almost impressive in its shamelessness. Yes, I agree. And, of course, this is having the complete opposite effect that Donald Trump wants it to have. As Sawyer Hackett tweets, the betting markets say there is more than a 99% chance Trump is named in the Epstein files. Now, that is what you call a hockey stick chart right there. That is the polymarket odds of Donald Trump being in the Epstein files, and we know that that's legit because it comes with a verified tweet trail here. So Polymarket tweets out, ask Polymarket, what are the odds that Trump is on the Epstein list? The verified Ask Polymarket bot, I assume that's what that is, says 100% chance. Elon Musk replied, that is a high level of confidence. Polymarket, the verified Polymarket account, then retweeted Elon's reply. So that is legit. And yeah, obviously, I was thinking to myself before I even saw that, there's now a greater than 99% chance he's named in these files. How could he not be? How is this not a sign that, of course, this is his objection? He has always been skittish about releasing the files. He said about Ghislaine Maxwell when she got arrested, I wish her well. Her boyfriend just died.
When they asked him about releasing the files, it was like, well, maybe not.
Yeah. It's It's pretty obvious. At this point, okay, if any MAGA influencers who are on the take see this and you want a free theory to run with, this is something I'm kind of workshopping. I think if there is a deep state conspiracy theory behind all this, I think, and this is just a theory I'm working off of now, all right, don't come for me if I'm wrong about this. I'm not locking in an official take here. But I got to thinking, okay.
I know your theory. I have a better one. You
right.
go. You
all
go.
Right, we'll see. What if the DOJ and the FBI was rummaging through these files, poring over these files, which Pam Bondi said she had? What if they realize that Trump's name is all over them, and they decide, you know what? Rather than spill the beans on Trump, because that would just be too destabilizing, why don't we just send a memo out that says nothing to see here, case closed, knowing it's going to create this massive firestorm, knowing it's going to cause Trump to pretty much implode. I mean, the MAGA's pretty much dead. The presidency, for all intents and purposes at this time, is at least stalled. I don't know if it'll ever regain the momentum that he had coming in. Don't forget, this leaked just after the big, beautiful bill passed. So those tax cuts, those are signed, sealed, delivered. Those ICE budget increases, same thing. Those Medicaid cuts, done. The Republican priorities, 1, 2, and 3 are always tax cuts for the rich, tax cuts for the rich, tax cuts for the rich. They got those and a lot more with the signing of this big, beautiful bill. At this point, what do they need Trump for? What do they need Trump for? Maybe they put this out knowing he will go nuts because his base is going to go nuts, knowing the whole movement will implode. And who knows? Maybe they're setting up J.D. Vance to take over so that he can run with the advantage of incumbency in 2028. Maybe that's a theory. That makes a lot more sense than anything anybody else is saying. So if you're looking for cope, that is my olive branch to you. That is some cope that I think at least perhaps is sensible, because the other thing is I just don't buy that they didn't know how disastrous this would be, how disastrous that memo would be. And if they weren't interested in sabotaging Trump's presidency, why not just kick the can down the road? Why not just say, hey, look, there's a lot of names here. It's going to take a long time to go through this, and you're going to have to wait. And just stall. That would have been better than this. That would have been a million times better. This is the worst. This is the biggest political fumble I've ever seen, really.
All right. Well, you're missing it. What does it take to win an election? Ground game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Megan's Law has trained tens of thousands of door knockers, and they're going to be all over the Trump campaign next time.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Megan's Law?
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Megan's Law, that's the law that offenders, fans of the playground, have to go knock on doors. Yeah,
he's going to get an army of door knockers. All right.
They're already trained. You don't even have to.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. You look at 3%. I mean, that's pretty much pedos and other freaks. That's who supports this. Yeah.
But they're very enthusiastic.
Yeah, that's true. They are enthusiastic. And they lack representation.
There were only 17,000 communists in the Russian Revolution.
That's right.
You got tens of thousands of door knocking Megan's Law recipients.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. But on a more serious note, what do you think? What do you think of my theory? I think my theory is a good theory.
It's hard to say because they are so arrogant. And again, I mean, what I said about Donald Trump, you could extend it out to them. Like, they're so used to being able to just dictate terms to their base. And also, it's such an administration of fruitcakes, crackpots, weirdos, perverts, losers. I mean, very much like the Nazis. Like, you look into the backgrounds of these people, you look into the temperaments of these people. They're not qualified to run a card game, much less a government. I mean, part of what's amazing about it is that you have such temperamentally freakish people put in these positions of authority. And as people are increasingly seeing, their incompetence is going to end up costing a lot of lives before they're done. I mean, we're laughing about it, but really in the end, it's not funny. So when you consider who these people are, not the sharpest knives in the drawer, but the people they were running against had done such a good job making themselves absolutely repulsive and just a non-starter, that they were able to win. But they're under the impression that it wasn't that the Democrats lost, it's that they won. And I don't think that was true either time. I don't think that was true in 2016 either. He had the good fortune to be running against Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
In this case, he had the good fortune to be running against Kamala Harris, who they swapped out for the clear Alzheimer's patient that he had started out running against. Like, how much better could the conditions have been?
He can only beat women. He can't beat a man. He can only beat women. He's the Leah Thomas of American politics. That's Donald Trump.
I think they I think they over-determined. Well, that's why he pulled up the ladder behind him.
Yeah, right. Pulled up the ladder behind
to challenge him.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think the significance of his victory was overstated in terms of what it said about the country. I do not think if you had a halfway credible candidate on the other side, that freak show could have walked into the White House.
Well, he's very lucky in his enemies, and obviously, the 4 years of Biden were horrible on just about every way they could have been, and so that sort of laid the groundwork for this. And now this has just completely imploded. I mean, I've never seen an administration go this far sideways this fast. Look at the broken promises. We're 7 months in. He promised he wasn't going to cut Medicaid. He cut Medicaid. He promised he was going to end the Russia-Ukraine war in a day. It's now further from a peace deal than it's ever been. He promised no new Middle East wars. He bombed Iran, right? And then obviously the big one was the Epstein files. Now, to be fair, he never emphatically promised the Epstein files. He was always afraid of this, but his surrogates were running around all over the country. We've been covering it extensively this past week, promising an Epstein files investigation, a real one, and a real release of the information should he win. And those are 4 pretty massive promises to have broken.
Yep.
I mean, those are pretty big ones. 2 wars, Medicaid cuts, and Epstein. Wow.
Well, and wait until the consequences of his economic policies really take hold in the second half of the year. You have not fully seen the impact of people not wanting to come to the United States as students, as tourists, as teachers, as entrepreneurs, because these are not decisions people make at the last minute. So you still have people coming here who already planned that last year. As the year goes on, you're going to see that. Also, you're going to start to see a lot of these businesses stocked up in anticipation of tariffs. That's been holding back the inflation, which is nonetheless creeping up, but that's been holding it back. As they start to run out of stock, they're going to have to start to increase their prices. And as we'll see later on in a segment we're going to do, some of these farms have up to 70% of the workers not showing up because they're afraid of an ICE raid. What do you think's happening? You think they're getting the Medicaid recipients over there? No, the food is rotting. What do you think that's going to do to food prices at the same exact time that you're putting massive tariffs on a lot of the countries we import food from? Most of these policies have not really been felt yet. When they are, and people realize they're not getting these nice new jobs they thought they were going to get if they just threw these people to the alligators, it's going to get ugly, man.
Hey, come see us on tour. We're going to be in Toronto, Red Bank, New Jersey, Northampton, Massachusetts, Concord, New Hampshire, Oxnard, California, Rutherford, New Jersey, New York, Edmonton, Calgary, and Vancouver. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.